Hello sweet friend, my name is Maike, and in this video I would like to take a look inside my traveler's notebook. I've only recently moved back into the TN, but I'm slowly getting comfortable, getting settled in, and I thought it would be fun to take a look-see at the first few pages and have a little chat about it all. This is the olive color. I bought this cover secondhand. I love buying traveler's notebooks secondhand. I like it when they're already dinged up and have scratches because it makes me feel less careful and makes me feel more like this is an object to be used and tossed around and taken with you. So yeah, I just seem to prefer that. And I got lucky because the previous owner also put in some sticky pockets, and I've been really enjoying these. Another thing that I might have felt hesitant about doing myself, not that there's anything wrong with putting sticky pockets in these, but yeah, in this front one I just keep a little bit of decoration, and in the back we have a little secretarial pocket, and this I'm actually using to house another insert, so that is really practical. Overall, I have 4 inserts in here, and I'm pretty happy. There's almost no overhang. They're pretty flush here, and that is, I think, primarily because I'm using this hack that I've seen on YouTube, where you just take the traveler's notebook folder and turn it inside out so that the secretarial pockets are on the outside, because then you can just slip in 2 notebooks on either side. Let me see, where's the other side? Yeah, there it is. And then I just put a third notebook on this middle, or on the elastic of the traveler's notebook in the middle of the folder, and then yeah, have one in the sticky pocket in the back, and that works out just fine. And another great thing about that is that you can easily take these inserts in and out if you prefer a little bit more of a more level journaling surface. But enough of that. This is the weekly vertical. I've tried using this last year and felt like I wanted to give it another go because in general I really like memory keeping on a weekly in a weekly spread, because I just like seeing my memories that way. I decided to stick in the Traveler's Notebook 2026 guide pamphlet simply because I thought it might be nice to just have their little writing here about why they chose, or what the theme for this year is about. Yeah, just why not? And then on this yearly overview, I decided to just, after each month is over, put in a sticker that represents something about that month to me. It is very cryptic, but it's a fun way of using up stickers and using this page. And so that's fine by me if it is a little cryptic. I'm not sure I'm gonna use this overview for anything, but then here we get into the weekly pages. On this first one, I stuck with the vertical columns for each day and just wrote little snippets about what stood out to me about the day. And then yeah, just picked some stickers to go along with that. And yeah, I think it's quite sweet. And then for the next week, which is actually this week, I'm trying something different where I'm taking more of a blocky approach, if you want to call it that, where I pick more the overarching topics for the week rather than staying with the individual days. I'm not sure if I prefer this or not. I might go back and forth between these 2 approaches for a little while to see what sticks. But I think with this one, there is a danger to miss out on capturing smaller details, which this format is really good for. And those smaller things are the things that I probably wouldn't create an entire page for in my memory keeper, so they just never get journaled about. And so yeah, if I pick larger items for my memory keeping here, then there might be a danger of defeating the purpose of what I want to get out of the weekly overview. But yeah, I'll see about that and how I feel about that with just more use. It might just be something that evolves with time, so I'm not sweating it too much. And then the next insert is the Midori Cream insert. This is what I'm using as my main memory journal and creative journal. And in here we're starting with, oh yeah, I did decorate. I always like decorating these little frames. I think they're so cute. I could probably do something with this too here. We'll see. This is all gonna probably change over time and grow over time. May and June had quite a few events for me. They're quite photo heavy too in that, because of that, which is nice. Yeah, started out with a trip to Heidelberg, which is a beautiful city in Germany. And I like the combination of drawings and photos. I think that's quite lovely. This was colored with an ink. I used Inkebara's Earth diluted with water in a brush pen to color this in, and I think it's quite nice. And I like how ink, when using ink rather than a marker, it just has more going on, especially if you use a chromo shading ink. So yeah, that's that. This is more from our Heidelberg trip. I went to a fountain pen museum. It was very lovely. I was able to hold a lot of the items on display there. This is one of the first ever Kaweco fountain pens made from ebonite. Such a lovely material, just really, really cool. And yeah, it made me fall in love with vintage fountain pens. I never thought I would be considering maybe adding one or two to my collection, but yeah, there's just something so wonderful when the pens already have a story connected with them. So yeah, we'll see where that goes. This is more from our Heidelberg time. We were able to meet up with a friend that we hadn't seen in 8 years. And I went on a solo outing to a little stationery store where I picked up some stamps. Really, really fun. Had a good time there, and went to another pen store and was very proud of myself because it was a small shop and there was no other customer in there. And I don't know if you know that feeling where you're hesitant to go in a store if no one else is in there. But yeah, I went in and I even started a conversation with the shop owner, so yay me. And then I went to the Dutch pen show. It was so lovely. My time in Germany spoiled me for being able to hang out with other fountain pen enthusiasts and stationery lovers. It was so nice. Yeah, I had a lovely time there. I did show this and talked about this in my video about the Dutch pen show. Here I swatched all the inks and ink samples I got that weekend, and I got some of my fountain pens tuned and smoothed by the lovely folks at Landsiedel Fine Writing. So cute. And then the following weekend we went to visit our nieces, which was so lovely. We had a wonderful time playing and reading and drawing. I quite like how the photos ended up creating this circle or wreath. I quite like that. And then I accidentally skipped a page, so I will probably come back in here and journal about something that isn't too date specific, or something that doesn't disrupt the chronology of these pages. Maybe a reading list. I've been keeping some very scattered notes here and there of some books that I want to read, and so it probably would be good to have that somewhere compiled together. And then I got to meet the lovely Izzy from Hearts Failing for breakfast. We had such a wonderful time, and she left me a cute little note in my journal, and yeah, it was just so good. Again, just hang out, talk about pens and stationery and journaling and about life and testing out our pens and all that kind of good stuff. And then right next to the place where we went for breakfast, there was a wonderful exhibit. And it was another one of those things where I definitely wanted to go see this exhibit, and I almost didn't go because I was by myself. And I felt like, should I go? Should I not go? And then I did it, and I felt really good about it. And I glued in the pamphlet of the exhibit because they had this amazing light installation of this gigantic tree, and you could lay underneath it. And then what they do with the lights is to kind of symbolically show different processes and different energies that are happening in a tree, from something that looks like the tree drawing up the water from the roots into the crown, or that pulsing green, that sort of sunlight that's captured in the leaves that is then trickling down to the roots, to a thunderstorm and rain and light crashing into the tree. It was absolutely incredible. And so rather than trying to take my own photos, I figured this was the better way of showing or remembering this tree installation. They also had wonderful just photographs, tons and tons of photographs of different forests and forest animals and things like that. But something that really stood out to me was the taxidermy. And I know taxidermy, I'm always very aware that these animals used to be alive. So there's always a little hint of, well, I don't know. However, this taxidermy was absolutely wonderful. They put the animals in such sweet poses. It was really thoughtful. I'd never seen anything like it. So that, for example, there was a fox who was in the process of scratching its face, and so it was lowering the paw, but the eyes were still squinting. It was really, really sweet. And there was this big brown bear who was laying almost like it was laying in a spot of sunlight on the floor. It was really, really precious. And then there was also a moment where I was standing at this exhibit with a squirrel, and then there was a husband and wife, and the husband told his wife, "Oh, that is an American squirrel." And the wife was like, "How do you know?" "Oh, I just know it's the size and the color." And I was thinking, well, actually, because of the color and the size, it's actually definitely not an American squirrel. Because the German squirrels are much redder and they're smaller, and they have these cute ears with these tufts of hair. They're really fluffy at the ears, and American squirrels are gray and much bigger, and the ears are different. So I thought to myself, it most certainly is not, but it's one of these little moments that stuck with me from the exhibit of like, yes, the man knows and talks very confidently about something where he's very wrong. So there was that. And I thought these drawings were just a nice, simple way of capturing what stood out to me the most about this exhibit. And then here I went to the movies with my mom, and we had the entire movie theater to ourselves. And so I captured that in this little comic format. I just really love how moving from the A6 Midori to the Traveler's Notebook size allows me to do more things like that again, where I can play around with the format of drawings, and having multiple drawings on one page is just really nice. And then I do still have our movie tickets, and I kind of don't want to necessarily glue them in as a whole. And I've seen, I think it was Tori On Paper here on YouTube. She's been using a punch, and she's punching out just little snippets from some of her bigger ephemera. And I think that's such a neat way of still having traces of the real thing in your journal without having to glue all of it in. So I left a space here, so I think I'm gonna get a punch and just punch something out and glue that in there. So these are still here. So that is the memory keeper for now. I'm really excited to, yeah, get back into drawing more again and doing little comics like this. So there's that. And then the next notebook, which is also sitting in that same craft folder, is my ink journal. I bought this insert at the Dutch Pen Show from the lovely folks at Pen Gallery, and they bought up a bunch of the old OG Tomoe River paper in the 68 GSM. And so I thought I wanted to honor that paper and use it for ink swatching and playing around with my inks. And so far I have one page right here. I made a video about this one. This is swatching some of the inks I bought at the Dutch Pen Show from Shanghai Stationery, playing around with, yeah, creating these little doodles to swatch the inks. And yeah, very excited to have that in here and play around with that. If you're new here, I'm currently traveling around quite a bit and living out of a suitcase, which is also one of the reasons I moved back into a traveler's notebook, because I am trying to reduce the amount of empty pages and therefore the amount of individual notebooks that I'm taking with me. And so I thought I wasn't gonna have an ink journal, but I figured just one insert can't hurt. So yay for that. And then the last one in here, which is sitting in that sticky pocket, like I said, is a lined notebook. I have been feeling kind of intrigued in getting back into writing a bit more, or writing longer, either journal entries or maybe even playing around with some creative journaling prompts, or creative writing prompts, that is. So yeah, we'll see. I could also see myself using this to capture quotes, use it a little bit like a commonplace notebook, because I don't really have a space for that right now. Just something where I can capture information or, yeah, writings that I want to reference later on, or maybe even move into different journals, into permanent homes later on, when I'm more stationary again. So we'll see how this develops, but yeah, so far I think there's 2 entries in here where I was just capturing some thoughts and feelings while we were in Heidelberg. I was reading what I talk about when I talk about running by Murakami while we were in Heidelberg, and so I was kind of trying to emulate his style, where he starts out with a little bit of observation about the day, or observations about things that are going on around him, and then he seems to let that inform some deeper thoughts or reflections. And so I was trying that out, and yeah, that was kind of fun. So I might just also stick with that. Who knows? We'll see. I mean, you know, it's easy enough to take in and out, and if I realize that I'd rather have, say, another insert for a sketchbook in here, I might do that. That was the one thing I was trying to, or I was considering. If I was to put in a 5th insert, it would be just an insert for scratch notes or just quick ideation sketches and things. But I don't think I can fit a 5th one, or rather, I don't want to fit a 5th one. So it would be, I think it would have to take the space for either the ink journal or the lined notebook. So, but we'll see. I mean, for now, I'm just keeping a separate sketchbook, because that seemed to make sense. Yeah, that is the setup so far. I am feeling good about this. I'm feeling good about the size. It's always interesting to move back into a Trien regular after a while, because the specific format feels so, how do I do this again? But I think I'm slowly getting the hang of it again and really enjoying this. Something that I did notice, now that I have a Paper Republic, and I've had this for over half a year now, is that this leather, I love it so much. It's so smooth and squidgy. There's just something about this leather that I absolutely love. And this is a little bit more velvety. So yeah, I think I like smoother leathers better. I never realized that before, but there's that. But yeah, it's still a lovely book. I have to figure out some decorations for the front maybe so that it doesn't look so naked. But yeah. All right, how is your journaling going? Is anything changing for you now that we are entering the second half of the year? And if you would like to support this video but have nothing else to share in the comments, leave me a plant emoji. We're loving the greens. And other than that, thank you so much for sharing this time with me. And until next time, happy journaling.